Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Under the Hood. It is Monday, February 13th, and we're happy to have all of you with us tonight as we're joined by a very special guest. I'm Eli Karp, host of Under the Hood and editor-in-chief of Throw the Flag Sports. Tonight on the panel, we have from Massachusetts, Eric, from New York, Happy, Las Vegas, Gannon, St. Louis, Missouri, and star of the second presidential debate, Ken Bone, from Connecticut, Roman, and from Vermont, Spentano. I'm from New York myself. So, we're happy to have a great show for you tonight. Ken, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. For all of you watching at home, please submit your questions through the comments box. We're happy to answer them. We love to have our dialogue back and forth. So, let's get right to it. And first, our storylines from each panel member. Eric, let's start with you.
Ken, you being a hockey fan, what is your take on the Bruins firing of all-time winningest coach Claude Julien and their three-game winning streak of over Montreal, Vancouver, and another, and 3-0 other new interim coach Bruce Cassidy?
Well, maybe having a three-game winning streak over Montreal and Vancouver isn't like something to write home about that much. And I know he was a great coach, but it was time for a change. Things were looking bad, and sports is a big time "what have you done for me lately" business.
Very, very true. I mean, the Bruins, they're really struggling before, still teetering on playoff position now, but I did watch some of their win over Montreal yesterday. That is, as Ken just said, nothing to write home about. Montreal's in a big slide. They looked out of sorts yesterday. Happy?
Oh, okay. So my storyline is just going to be the past week of the New York Knicks. Just going through this quickly, they start off with this whole crazy Charles Oakley situation with him being kicked out of MSG, and then all the you have people from Michael Jordan, Adam Silver, Dwayne Wade, Spike Lee, Reverend Al Sharpton, all people speaking out against the Knicks. And now it's just making it makes the league look bad, it makes the Knicks look bad, it makes Oakley look bad. It's just a whole terrible situation. And then after that, they lose to the Lakers, who are the bottom of the league. They lose to the Nuggets. And just yesterday, they decided to just show up and play basketball and beat the San Antonio Spurs. So if the Knicks need to make a run, it's time to do it.
Gannon?
Well, I remember hearing a few months ago about this big college basketball mid-season reveal for the tourney, and I was really excited about it, but after reading into the whole facts and stuff, it's been very disappointing because, frankly, it doesn't mean much. It means just about as much as ESPN Joe Lunardi's bracketology, which, frankly, goes for nothing. It just gives you an idea of what the bracket is going to be, and the fact that they released the top 16 seeds makes it even more disappointing because you kind of have an idea of who the top 16 teams are going to be. You look at the AP top 25 every week. You know who's good. You know who's going to make it in. I think it'd be more interesting if they released who right now would be the last four in, because those are the teams that are kind of on the bubble, and I'd be curious to see what the committee is valuing right now, whether it's strength of schedule or a record, if conference stuff like that kind of weighs in. So I was very disappointed with the midseason reveal, and I think it's something that they probably shouldn't continue in further years.
Very interesting take from you, Gannon. Roman?
Everyone watched the Super Bowl, possibly one of the greatest moments in Patriots history, and now we're going into an offseason that could be the low point in Patriots history. They have Bennett, Butler, and Hightower all up for big contract extensions, and don't really know if they have the money for it. So although the Super Bowl is really great and that's a high point, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how they deal with free agency.
All right. Very interesting. Yeah, you said it there. Spentano, anything about the Cowboys today that we should know?
Nah, I'm veering to the NBA with probably one of the oddest storylines of the season is the Miami Heat, who were sitting at 11-30, looking like they were going to pick up Lonzo Ball in the draft. And then, fueled by a Dion Waiters 30-point performance against the Warriors, they capped off 13 straight wins, which came to an end against the 76ers. But they are firmly in the race for an 8 seed in the East, which is probably one of the biggest turnarounds mid-season we've seen recently.
Yes, and it does speak to the fact that it is 2017 in the East in the NBA. Ken, do you have a storyline for today?
Well, we already touched on the Bruins a little bit, firing their veteran coach. Here at home in St. Louis, we've lost Hitchcock. He just couldn't seem to pull it together. His system didn't fit as well with our new personnel as we thought, losing David Backus and Troy Brower. We didn't have the size, we didn't have the meat in the corners to play the Ken Hitchcock dump and chase system. So we'll see how we do under Mike Yeo, who's a little more youth and speed focused. We got the personnel for that.
Definitely, he's coming. He was hired, I believe, at the beginning of the season or last season after he was fired from Minnesota. And he was going to be presumed to be the successor, but I don't think many people thought it would be this soon. And, hey, you look at Minnesota now. Bruce Boudreau comes in there. They've got 80 points, and they're leading the West. They're looking great right now. My storyline today, the New York Giants, they are really killing the dead weight, taking it off of their wagon. They released Victor Cruz, released Rashad Jennings. They do not re-sign Larry Donnell. They're really clearing the cap space for what they deem to be necessary. And I think that they're not catering to the fans, which is fine in this case, and they're really making the right business decisions here. All right, so with those storylines out of the way, let's talk about the MLB upcoming season and pitchers and catchers. The first load of pitchers and catchers for various teams reported yesterday, so spring training is about to get underway. And Ken, since you're a Cardinals fan, let's just talk a little bit about, I've been wondering about this. The Cubs winning the World Series every year, not every year, last year. How did you feel about that? Because obviously they're your bitter rivals, but at the same time, everyone was kind of pulling for the Cubs. What do you think?
Well, no, I'm not going to begrudge them their win. They waited for it for a long time. It's a great organization, and they probably deserved it. I'm also not going to sweat any trash talk from Chicago until they got 9 more. We only have 2 seasons here in St. Louis. We have baseball season and we have hockey season. Right now, it's turned into both. So we're waiting for spring training to heat up. There's going to be a lot of great storylines. A lot of folks were disappointed in the Cardinals last year. We have to remember that a bad year for the Cards means missing the playoffs by 1 game. A bad year for a lot of other teams means winning 50 and only drawing 15,000 fans. So we got a great organization here, and we got high hopes.
Exactly. A model of consistency are the St. Louis Cardinals, and they really down to the wire last year with San Francisco. So, again, what some around a very successful franchise might call as a failure, really just one missing. You can take a break every once in a while. This year, it may be the Detroit Red Wings doing the same thing. I think they have their playoff streak is at it's over 20 years straight that they've made the playoffs. It's like 22, I believe, and this year, geez, they're a dumpster fire. Let's be honest. I mean, Mike Ilitch, their longtime owner, unfortunately passed away the end of last week. A truly revered figure around the NHL, but their season itself has been terrible. They're at the bottom of the East. They're even below Carolina and the Islanders. Oh my gosh, they're below the Islanders. How is that possible? And so Detroit not looking too good this season. So. Let's move on and talk about the Blues, Ken. They're 63 points this year. They've been okay. Obviously, they're on a 4-game winning streak right now. I think they've responded somewhat positively to the firing and the coaching change now that Mike Yeo is in there. And they're 12 points behind Chicago for second place in the Central Division. Where do you see this team trending up, down, or staying on their current trajectory?
I see them trending up. We've got 26 games left this year, and only 8 of them are against teams with winning records. So as long as we don't play down to the levels of the competition, we shouldn't have trouble securing a 5 or a 6 seed. I don't know about catching Chicago because they never stay in the wall for very long. They're going to turn back. They're going to turn the heat back on again before you know it. But I'm very comfortable that we'll have a decent playoff berth, and anything can happen.
Yeah, it really can. And probably the best difference between regular season and playoff sports, it has to be hockey. I'm sure, Ken, you watched plenty of the series last year or between the Blackhawks and the Blues. Really one for the ages. That Game 7 was really incredible, and finally the Blues, they at least won 2 series. It didn't turn out for them that well in the end, but at least it was a little bit of a relief for the St. Louis fans who wanted to see a couple wins. Anyone else want to comment on the upcoming MLB season? Happy the Mets?
Oh, yeah, the Mets have a big year this year, and it's just the main priority for them is to stay healthy. The pitching staff last year, Grom, Matz, Harvey, all injured. Syndergaard also had some minor injuries as well. And same thing with the bats. You had Dude out, David Wright out. So the main priority, like I said, is staying healthy. So that, and really, I going back to the Cardinals. Cardinals were one of the teams that gave the Mets problems last year. I don't know why, but it just seemed like they were the ones, along with the Dodgers. Those two seemed to be the ones that gave the Mets the most trouble. So I just think that adding Dexter Fowler for the Cardinals, huge addition, big bat, speed, it's everything you want in a baseball player. I was hoping the Mets somehow can maybe sneak in and get him if they couldn't get Cespedes. But yeah, overall, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, and I see a couple comments coming in about the Red Sox being the Golden State Warriors of baseball, and I do hate the Golden State Warriors, and being a Yankees fan myself, I can only hate the Boston Red Sox. So you're putting the worst of the worst together and to get something even worse. So Roman, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to speak about, one about the trade of Yohan Moncada. I believe for who was it? Was it Chris Sale? It was for Chris Sale. What is it? Championship or bust this season?
I think it really has to be, because you give away most of your future with Michael Kopech and Yohan Moncada, both cracking the top 50 for MLB prospects this season. So, it's really nice to see a star left-handed pitcher like Chris Sale come on the roster. But in losing talent like that, it's, really tough to deal with.
Definitely. All, please, if you're watching, please submit your comments. Only appropriate comments, please. Sports related, that is all. We don't need to see any more of the gibberish going on. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, yes, the Rams moved to LA. Gannon, you wanted to talk a little bit.
We lost Ken.
Oh, Ken, the Wi-Fi kind of did say he was having some trouble with the Wi-Fi before. Gannon, you want to talk a little bit about the Rams move to LA and we see where we go from here?
Sure. I mean, I had planned this storyline ahead to talk with Ken about, but I mean, it's a sad thing for the Rams. I know a few years ago, the St. Louis, obviously a pretty small market comparative to other NFL franchises. Teams like Green Bay also have kind of a small market and a very dedicated fan base, and that's kind of how the Vikings are. Me being a Vikings fan, I remember a few years ago when they threatened to move the Vikings to LA or somewhere else, and it was kind of heartbreaking. But so I kind of understand where St. Louis fans were feeling beforehand, but I couldn't imagine the grief that it would be having a team just leave just like that, and that's got to be rough for Rams fans, and now to see them playing in Los Angeles.
I imagine the grief is somewhat similar to when Ken Bone leaves your show halfway through.
Yes, we are dealing with a little bit of that right now. Eric, you wanted to butt in on something?
I was going back about the Red Sox, but continue about the Rams if you want.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I saw this thing the other day. I think there was like 7 pitchers in the MLB who pitched over 200 innings last year, and now we have 3 of them in Price, Sale, and Porcello. Last year, pitching was a problem, especially bullpen. I think the trade for Thornburg from the Brewers, I think that was a good trade. We might have given up maybe a little too much, maybe not. We'll find out. But I like the way this team's going. The Warriors question, I think that was brought up by my friend Drew Anderson. And I think that's a good comparison because it has a mix of solid free agents and then some young drafted talent.
But at the same time, I don't think they're as hated as the Warriors
are.
Oh,
absolutely not, no.
They got a lot of young, charismatic people, and the Warriors are just evil.
Well, yeah, let's face it. You've got 9 guys on the field at any one time in baseball, and you've only got 5 for basketball. So it's much easier to fill up a team of superstars in the NBA than it is in the MLB. Now, for all watching, we do hope to get Ken back. Hopefully the Wi-Fi resumes or he decides to return. Either way, please, if you have any questions, submit them. Let's be mature about these comments, please. Let's hope that the crowd did not scare him off. Otherwise, that's on you. So let's keep going. What else do we have here, considering our agenda might be a little altered tonight? Actually, again, the Seahawks signed Blair Walsh. Your thoughts? Very interesting.
I think it's ironic, and I can't wait for him to shank a kick for them in the playoffs, and I will laugh endlessly because I think it would just be the perfect irony to have him blow a very important game for them, and it would be so sweet to witness as a Vikings fan.
I think that's like their safety valve because if they don't get Hauschka back, because Hauschka's a free agent, but
Well,
Probably gonna get
Hauschka
him.
has problems of his own. I mean, he missed, I saw a stat today, I think 11 extra points in the last 2 seasons.
Wow.
So he hasn't been perfect by any means. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them let him go due to him wanting a bigger contract.
I can see that, but Hauschka's from Middlebury, so he knows what's right.
Happy?
Oh wait, sorry.
Yeah, you raised a hand.
Wait, did I? No, I'm sorry. I just moved it.
No, all right. No, all right. You did all right. What else do we have on tap?
No.
What do we feel like talking about? Oh, just the fact for anyone in the other math class in my school, Roman is on the show. So even though Ken left, you should be happy tonight because Roman is on the show, and for that, I feel like your Ken Bone craving has been satisfied. Your Roman Scavone craving has been satisfied today.
I'm really confused what you guys see in me, but I thank you all for being
I'm just happy I'm not the Briarcliff celebrity.
You're hysterical. All right, what else should we talk about? Any other thoughts on spring training? What's going on?
One note on Pablo Sandoval. I think this is going to be a really bounce back year for him because last year he was absolutely awful in those all 7 at bats before I don't even know how he got out of the league last year. He was just god awful. But he's lost a ton of weight, put on muscle, and looks apparently very good. And I'm really excited to see him play this year.
Yeah, definitely. He was the investment that did not pay off last year really much at all. Yankees, all the young talent coming together.
Yeah.
It may need a couple more years, but this should be the start of a special run over the next few years. I hope to see that will revive the Bronx. That's been not too buzz filled in the last few years. It's been pretty dormant. Rollins Chapman is back. You know, the Yankees are in a smart place moving forward. Spintani, you want to go on a little NBA rant?
Ooh.
NBA rant. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, you thought maybe like the Warriors would be like that the 2011 Heat team that took a while to actually like get going and build some chemistry, but they're just destroying everyone in their sight. I mean, the Grizzlies had 2 wins against them, but then I think they lost a few nights ago, and honestly don't see any series really going to more than 6 games because even Cleveland, like, they're just way too good. It's not good for the NBA when you know who's going to win just like off of the opening tip of the year.
But I feel like even last year, everyone assumed that the Warriors were going to win the finals. And then when they went up 3-1, there's that same kind of feeling. Like, doesn't it lose excitement when we know who's going to win? And then we saw that turnaround from the Cavs, obviously. So I think right now we can look at it and say we know who's going to win the NBA finals, but, like, who knows?
True, who knows? Someone could get injured, but, like,
Okay.
barring an injury, I don't see much else happening.
Ken is back. Ken, you're back.
My technical director got it all sorted out.
Ah, gotcha. Wi-Fi. You know, Spentano sometimes has Wi-Fi problems, so we know how that works around here, especially with multiple people on the call. So back to what we were talking about, the Rams. Gannon was about to talk a little about the Rams. So Gannon, go ahead.
Well, I know, Ken, you talked about how you only have baseball and hockey season, but I know in St. Louis you guys used to have football season. I was curious to hear the type of emotions you felt during and before and now watching the Rams play in Los Angeles. How did that experience fare for you?
Well, it was kind of some shouting for it watching them play in Los Angeles this year. You're going to leave us, okay, go ahead and have trouble selling out your stadium in your first year in your metro area 10 times the size of ours while you win like 2 games or whatever it was. But the NFL, man, I want to love it because it's a great game. But a deadbeat dad only leaves you once in a lifetime. The NFL's left me twice since I was a kid. I've had to deal with Stan Kroenke and Buddy Ryan both, and oh my God, that's 2 ownership groups that you should never have to deal with. I'm a Packers guy now. They can't move away on me. My wife's from Wisconsin.
That works. You've got Joe Buck's best friend Aaron Rodgers playing for your team, so not a bad choice at all. And yeah, Gannon, actually, back to you. Speaking about NFL location changes, the Raiders were all set to come to Las Vegas, and then Sheldon Adelson pulled back. A couple other things happened, and they're stuck. I'm not going to say stuck, but they're back in Oakland for now. Would you have welcomed the Raiders to Las Vegas, or would it all have been more trouble than it's worth in the most cases it can be?
I absolutely would have welcomed the Raiders to Las Vegas. Personally, I love to go, obviously, as any NFL fan would, love to go experience the games in a stadium. And being in Vegas, you're at least 5 hours from any stadium, whether it's LA, San Diego, Phoenix. So you kind of have to make a little bit of a trek to be able to go see a game. And that gives a really good opportunity for fans to be able to go see a game, and it might open up a whole new fan base for the Raiders. As you know, they have one of the most dedicated fan bases, and Vegas, I think, is a perfect place for the Raiders and the way their fan base is built around the black hole and kind of being the villains. And because, it's so I think it'd be kind of a great place for them to be if they're going to move anywhere. And I'm not sure how the stadium deal is going to work out in Oakland. It seems like it's not going over so hot up there either. So I think if they're going to move anywhere, Vegas would be a great place. I personally have no opposition to them playing in Sam Boyd Stadium, the home of the UNLV Runnin' Rebels, which obviously their football program is an absolute joke. So to me, there wouldn't be any problem with the Raiders playing in that stadium if they really can't get the funds for a few years to build a bigger one.
All right. Now, Ken, we're getting a couple questions in from the audience. You're not a huge NBA fan, but is it going to be the Warriors or someone else who's going to win the NBA title?
Oh, I can't say for sure if they're going to win, but it's almost a lock that they're going to appear in the finals again. But if I had to put money on it, I'd say they're going to come through this year. They're pissed after last year. After giving up a 3-1 lead, they're ready to take it home.
Yeah, I think, they started off a little bit shaky, and shaky for the Warriors is similar you could equate to missing the playoffs for the Cardinals, or a failure for the Cardinals, missing once every few years. And, the Warriors, they had a couple losses in their first 20 games. They're 45 or 46-8 now. All seems to be clicking. Kevin Durant is going off. The emotional return to OKC, nothing to complain about for Kevin Durant besides the booze, but I'm pretty sure he expected that. They walked on in, they walked on out with a 16-point win, and it was really pretty dominant from what I saw. And even though there were still some tensions running high, especially with the deal about the restaurant and how one of the OKC hot restaurants wouldn't let Kevin Durant buy the restaurant out for the night to eat with the Warriors because the Thunder players eat there. So even through all of that, Kevin Durant left with the win. He's now 3-0 against the Thunder, and he puts up some of his best point totals against his old team. Everything is okay for Kevin Durant, and there are some rumors down the line that Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook hooking up in Los Angeles down the road, that would be even more hypocritical of Russell Westbrook after Durant leaves. And now Westbrook throwing all of the shade at Durant about, you said you wouldn't leave, you said you wouldn't go somewhere else, and he could do it. Now, I'm not saying that will happen, but just some reports out there to address that. So let me just see what else we have here from the peanut gallery here, what we have. Let's see. Anything else, guys? Ken, anything else in the sports world you want to comment about?
Well, as far as the Kevin Durant issue, he's going to be on the right side of history. There's not many guys in the NBA that wouldn't go to a winning team with max contract with a great fan base like the Warriors have. A great chance to win. OKC is a great place to play from everything I hear. Got a good fan base, but you'd be crazy not to take that deal and have your chance at a ring. And with the Warriors adding Durant, now they've got a little bit of paint presence that might have been lacking before. And with the outside shooting they already had, they're a force to be reckoned with for at least 3 or 4 years to come, as long as they keep that going.
Definitely. The rest of the NBA is right now in a holding pattern until the Warriors finally land on their championship tour over the next few years, because they'll rack up a couple. Anything else, guys? Anything else you want to touch on in general going around in the sports world? Anyone? Bueller? All right. Well, Ken, thanks for coming on so much. We really appreciate it.
I was glad to be here. And, we can all just be thankful that now that the Super Bowl is over Patriots gave us one of the great Super Bowls of all time. The Falcons gave us one of the great collapses in the history of any sports franchise. And no allegations of cheating or any kind of bullcrap. We got to just enjoy sport for what it is for once. Thank God.
Exactly. And now we can all look forward to some NHL action, some NBA action, and March Madness is in about Selection Sunday. It's got to be in about 4.5 weeks. I mean, probably 5 weeks from yesterday. So looking forward to that. Ken, thanks so much. Everyone, thanks for watching. Have a great night.